Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Ballmer!
Whenever I'm feeling a little bit low, I don't watch a kitten video on the internet. I watch Steve Ballmer, CEO of Microsoft, billionaire, going absolutely mental on stage. So a quick poll. I'm going to give you 3 options. Is this guy happy at work? Is he completely fucking insane? Or is he both happy at work and completely insane? So who thinks he's just happy at work? Option 1, hands up. Okay. 2 people. Who thinks he's just completely insane? Yay, 4 people. And who thinks he's completely insane and happy at work? Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, I think that guy is completely insane. Like, just mad. Imagine coming on to Gloria Estefan. You're like a 50-year-old white guy in a suit, dancing. Crazy. Anyway, let's move on from Steve. It's great to be in Copenhagen. You just have such an incredible city. It is unbelievable. I love cycling and seeing the respect. I know I'm going to say some things and you're going to think that it's not how it really is, but like seeing the amount of people cycling here, the respect that taxi drivers pay. Honestly, in our country, when you ride to work, it is, your life is on the line. So and the weather here, just incredible. So I'm just going to talk about some of the things that we do in our company. I really enjoyed Hannah's presentation, and although I didn't understand all of it, I could understand some of it, and I saw you guys nodding and kind of going on that journey. But the one slide that really stood out for me was that culture eats strategy for lunch. And I'm going to talk about how our culture eats someone else's lunch. So we are based in Brighton, in the south coast of the UK. Anyone been to Brighton? Yay! Yay! Come to Brighton. It's a wicked city. We are 20 people. We're a consultancy, and we help large organizations in the UK become more digital and social, but in their insides as much as in their outside. So not just kind of communicating on Facebook, but actually changing their very inside. So this is a photo of our team about a year and a half ago. Our company was founded really out of 2 ideas. The book Maverick by Ricardo Semler. I'm sorry, I keep asking you to put your hand up, but has anyone read this book on the left-hand side? Maverick? Amazing book about a Brazilian entrepreneur who basically is given his father's company. And the company just makes like hydraulic pumps or something quite kind of boring, manufacturing. And he goes to Harvard, he does his MBA, and then he takes over the family company and he tries to run it in the kind of normal, proper way. And he just doesn't enjoy it. He's on the verge of a nervous breakdown. The company is struggling. So then he starts to just unlock the company. He starts to give incredible amounts of power, like jaw-dropping amounts of power to the employees. They end up setting their salaries, deciding where they work, managing themselves. It's proper kind of democracy at work. And the company thrives and through all sorts of Brazilian economic crises. So that inspired me and Tom, my business partner, that business could be different. Then the other book that inspired us was the Clue Train Manifesto, which is about how the internet isn't about clicks and www. And web pages, but actually it's about us all being connected. It's about the power of humanity when the conversations we have can have so much reach and so much immediacy. You think about the Arab Spring, you think about in the UK, something like MPs' expenses, corruption. The internet is transforming our very lives. And so those are the kind of 2 founding ideas of our company. And now we're lucky we work with all sorts of big, well-established clients, helping them change. And the work we do, as I said, was about helping them change internally, but we also like to make things. So this is something we made for Channel 4 TV channel. to harvest conversations as people have them online while the program is live on air. But that's enough about us. What I want to talk about is kind of some of the things that we do, because that might be useful to you. So just some of the fun stuff to begin with, and this is like the kind of cappuccino foam. It's easy. It's easy for me to stand here and feel, great. We're so great. Here are some things we do. But I'll run you through them, and then we'll talk about some of the harder stuff, which I think is more interesting in a way. So we have I'm seeing more and more articles about results-only work, so environments. So people are calling this ROW. So this is our internal communications tool, and you can see we don't care where people are, and we don't care when they work. What we care about is the results that they create. And so you can see here Louise is saying it's a school teacher training day. I need to catch up from mail from home, lots of flexibility. Max has got an electrician coming round and going for a run. Anna, I don't know, maybe she's hungover. She's coming in late. It doesn't really matter why. And so that's fairly straightforward. I would imagine in somewhere like Denmark, flexible working is, easy. We also are trying to create this kind of democracy at work and strength in the organization, so not necessarily top down. So in our kitchen, we have this wall of win, which is just like a blackboard. You can buy this paint. You just paint the wall, and it becomes like in school, the old school blackboards. And this is all peer-to-peer feedback. So people just write good stuff about other people in the team, which we think matters more than like your manager saying to you, good job. So it's coming from the team, and every couple of weeks we clean the board and start again. And so there's this sense of renewal and sense of progress. Do you know what the best thing is for cleaning blackboards? It's Coca-Cola. So have a little think about that. We also run this thing called the Shield of Win. So this is Clive. He's the current holder of the Shield of Win. And this gets passed around. I think this was actually an idea we got from Alexander. But the idea is it gets passed around from person to person. So again, it's peer-to-peer feedback. I'm not sure why Clive got it. Actually, I am. He's working with a train company at the moment, Trains in the UK. I'm sure you've suffered at the hands of our trains at some point. We have very bad customer service in the UK around trains. So Clive's been working really patiently with one of our clients and been doing great work. So he is the holder of the Shield of Win, but it's now his job to pass that on to someone else. And you can see he looks quite happy. That's nice, isn't it? One of the things we need to do in our team is, because we're a consultancy, we've got these really talented kind of up-and-coming, brainy young people who could all be earning probably 50% to 100% more if they worked in London. Because Brighton is a commuter town, it's quite easy, it's an hour, the train to London, lots of people commute. And so we have to hold on to these people, and the way we hold on to them is by developing them. And we believe that the more we develop them, the longer they will stay. And so one of the things we do is we run this thing called First Fridays, which basically on the first Friday of every month, we get a guest speaker in. And what we found is it's amazingly easy to do. You kind of think that these interesting, brilliant people, of which there are probably many here today, wouldn't want to come and talk to your team. But we just find that an invitation and the offer of beer and a small interested audience who really care and are really going to listen. This is Chris TT, he's a well-known kind of musician and activist in the UK. We've had a guy who makes geodesic art, like these kind of interesting domes, a woman talking about mental health at work. We've had all sorts of really different people, but I think this is really good for us and we look forward to it. And we're able to invite our friends and family as well, so it sort of creates that kind of stronger community. We also have this thing called NM Stereo, which is, it plays the music in the office, but you can tweet. On Twitter, you can tweet a Spotify track. So you could say, I want to play Gloria Estefan, or I want to play whatever piece of Bruce Springsteen or some cheesy 80s rock. And then that will play live in the office. So it's kind of like a crowdsourced office stereo. But it's actually broken at the moment. So if you're looking it up right now, just stop. And then every year we go away camp together. And I personally believe that, the word company derives from the Latin for breaking bread together. It's something like con panis or something. It's with bread. And for us, we try and create as many experiences where people are kind of one-on-one in a normal human setting and able to leave behind a lot of the work stuff. So we go away every year, we have a summer camp, and I love this photo. And I use this photo in pretty much any presentation I give, whatever the topic. I love the fact that we've got Steve here holding the beer and then Matt, and they're both in our team. But this is Jana, Steve's wife, and they brought their 3 little girls, and Katie over there, Matt's partner, and they brought their dog. And it's just like, I don't know, I feel this might be really cheesy, but it's just really a powerful way to create a strong culture, and we love it. So that's some of the kind of nice, fun stuff. What about some of the harder stuff? We've been measuring happiness every day for 2 years using tennis balls. So on the way out, just by the door here, on the way out of our office, this is the available store of happiness in the bucket here. This is happiness is a finite resource. And then on the way out, you pick up a ball, and if you had a good day, you put it in the happy bucket. If you had a bad day, you put it in the unhappy bucket. It doesn't matter who, it doesn't matter what you do, it's anonymous. And we've been measuring it over time. And it's really hard because, I walk in 8 a.m. the next morning, and it's not uncommon for there to be 2, 3, 4 unhappy balls. So that's somewhere between 10 and 20% of our workforce, if you like. Some days you walk in and there are more balls in the unhappy bucket than there are in the happy bucket. It's really challenging, but we found it creates this currency. It's not about the measure, it's not even about the number, it's about the awareness. And it creates this, you walk in, it's like, kick in the gut. Oh no, something's gone wrong. And then immediately say, what happened yesterday? And you start to discover, it surfaces the fact that there's a really tough project going on. People are falling out, they're having arguments, there's tension, pressure, clients unhappy. So we find this really useful. We want to spread this. If you're interested in doing this, you need 3 buckets and some tennis balls. And I will help you. I will give you over the phone help on how to get it set up. We want this to be in every workplace. We've actually got some technology guys in our team, and they've been working on how to do this with swipe cards. Because we work with big banks. They've got like 3,000 employees going into, big offices every day. And we want them to, they've got the share price on reception. Why haven't they got the happiness? And what would it do if that measure was surfaced? What would the chief executive think? Maybe they'd pay more attention to that. One of the other things that we do, and this is one of the weirder things, and particularly as a Brit, and I'm happy to be here in Europe where you have a healthy skepticism as well. This is weird, and I think if I told my parents about this, they'd be like, what? It's like you joined a religious cult? But we do this thing called Church of Fail. So every year we go away a couple of times and do away days. And on one of the away days, a small group of the team came up with this idea of creating a church of fail, to celebrate failure. And one of the guys in the group does improv, improvised kind of comedy. And one of the things that he'd learned in improv, one of the early tasks that they do is they get you to come on stage, and then they make everyone, I'm not going to make you come on stage, the terror in this man's eyes. I'm not ready for that. They get you to come on stage, and then they just clap and go, woo! And it's really uncomfortable, but you have to take the applause. It's about learning to take the applause. And so our little group came up with the idea of doing that around failure. So once a month, we turn the boardroom into a church. We have rows of seats. If you're religious, I'm not criticizing your religion. This is just a non-denominational church of our own. So you have lines, and then basically someone is the reverend, and they introduce the ceremony. And then you stand at the front, and you say what your failure is. So you say, my biggest failure was Clive, actually, the guy with the shield. Me and him had a bit of a difficult conversation. We were starting to get, a bit male, and it was in email as well. With email, there's no body language or anything, and it was going the wrong way. So that was my most recent fail. So you stand up and you say, my fail was, and you tell the story of your fail, and you say what you learnt, and you say what you do next time, and then I'll show you what happens. This is what the congregation looked like. They're a strange-looking bunch. The thing is, there's a couple of things different from normal church. There's beer, and if you can see, you can't see very well, there's a strange face kind of hovering through the window. It's like some kind of psycho. Anyway, let's have a look at the video. So this is Ross, and I've edited out his actual fail, because that's between him and the company. But you can see what happens at the end.
And I will do that in future because it felt really awkward. And yeah, that was my fail.
So, it is weird. And I have no idea if it works. But it's another one of our experiments, and we'll see what happens. But we believe that if you can fail, you can be more creative, you can get better things done, you can make decisions more quickly, and we can eat someone else's lunch. Oh, back. We also do business planning and budgeting together collectively, so we run the company democratically. All key decisions are voted on. This year's business plan was set in conjunction with the whole team. Yes, it's a small team, we're only 20 people, but there are really big organizations doing this kind of thing as well. Another great book is Employees First, Customers Second, which is about an Indian software company called HCL with 80,000 employees, and they do this kind of stuff, but at massive scale. We also have open book accounting, so every penny in the company can be found out about by anyone. Every Monday morning, we write on the board, we do a team stand-up in a circle, we write on the board the forecast, so the current month, the next month, and the month after that. You can see here, at the time, this was I think last year, that was okay for March. April is miles away from March, so we're all thinking, oh no! This is first thing on Monday morning, not always the easiest way to start the day. May we wouldn't even worry about then, we'd just be worried about April. Got the rolling profit figure for the year and the happiness figure for the previous week. And so that happens every Monday. But everyone also knows what everyone else earns. So we have entirely open book accounting. And it's really interesting, hiring people from traditional companies and saying, okay, well, we're going to pay you this much. And they say, well, I think I'm worth more. And we have to say, well, if you want to join this team, there are 4 other people doing a very similar role, and this is what they're paid. So we can't hide that under the carpet. We can't put the skeletons in the cupboard. It's all open, and we find it's again another powerful retention, but also an acquisition tool, because we find that the best people want to work in an environment where it's all above board and it's a merit-based environment. But it is really, really difficult. This is probably the hardest thing we've done. It's probably also the most powerful thing, but it is so difficult to live with. Every year when it comes around to annual reviews, these people who are like the best of friends, and they're all really talented and they're a team, and then there's only so much money in the pot. And you're taking it from, it's me or you, buddy. It's really hard. So to try and deal with this, we've created these decentralized teams. So the rewards team is probably the hardest job in the company. I'm the MD. It's much easier than being on the rewards team. The rewards team is the team that looks after how much is in the pot each year for total rewards for everyone, and then they have to work out who gets what and then tell them. So that's quite challenging. This is Ross, the guy who did the fail. This is his salary review. He did illustration as a degree. So when he'd finished his annual review, this was his personal development plan as a picture, and he put it on the web because he wanted to kind of, be open about it. But in Britain, being open about how much you earn is really, really, really unusual. I know that in some other European countries, it's quite like, at a dinner party, you say, all right, what do you do and how much do you earn? But in the UK, they'd be like, what? That's like insulting someone's mother. Maybe worse. Also, to try and kind of deal with this particular culture that we've created, we've had to spend a lot of time learning how to talk to one another, which is harder than it sounds. Like being honest as well is not and being authentic is not also a big British characteristic. We'd rather be polite to your face and then talk about you when you're not there. So we've had to practice, we do these communication work groups where you all sit in a circle, so another strange practice, and you practice talking with respect, empathy, and congruence. So respect is always holding the other person as a kind of whole individual and not doubting them. Empathy is trying to put yourself in their shoes. And congruence is being honest to yourself and respectful to how you really feel and saying what you really feel. And it's interesting because we've all learned which ones we compromise first. And a lot of people will compromise congruence in the UK. They won't say what they really think, because they'll overemphasize maybe empathy or respect. I've found that the last thing I give up is congruence. I go down fighting. I'm like, and it's been a really interesting learning experience. So remaining challenges, just before I finish, that we have to deal with. This is Max on a bad day. It's really hard working in NixonMcinnes. I don't know how often. It's not unusual for people to be in tears. Not everyone every day, or even every month. But we do have a box of tissues in the boardroom, and it gets used. It's hard work. They're consultants, so they're often on their own. They can, even though we've got this real strong team vibe, weirdly people can end up feeling really isolated. So that's a real challenge for us at the moment. Because all this autonomy, actually that puts a lot of responsibility on individuals. I think that in the old school model, it's kind of like caffeine. You had no information, no stress. You just got on with your job, get your head down, do your work, and then one day, bang, you get a letter from the boss. You're fired, or everyone hates you, go, or whatever. It just comes out of nowhere. Whereas our people live with this kind of daily stress of the numbers, the forecast, being expected to have a direct conversation with your peer. It is challenging. Also, we're very busy. This is just a calendar like anyone else's calendar. But when you're working hard, it's hard to hold on to some of this stuff. The nice stuff goes out the window when the pressure is on. So that's hard. This is a judge. In the UK, employment law is about as far away from progressive business as you could imagine. So I was actually describing to Jesper, who's one of the speakers later today, about our maternity and paternity regulations in the UK, and he looked like I had spat in his eye. I was explaining that men get 2 weeks, and that's that, and then women, you get a couple of months paid, and then you can take up to a year, but that's out of your pocket, and that's the world we're living in. So to try and our contracts are alien documents. They are legal in the UK, but it's just so hardcore. And then the reality is completely different. So we have real challenges around that. And then lastly, this is a photo of the sink at work. So I'm running this democracy, and we've got these talented guys, and no one is emptying the bloody dishwasher. And it's just like, come on. You can create an empowered environment, but transparency is messy. Empowerment and all of that is challenging and difficult. And we've been hardwired since we were at school to take orders and to keep our heads down and all of that stuff. So it's hard. But the results are promising at times. When you lift your head out of the fog, you have good moments where you think we are making progress. We do have an amazing team. They are the best team I've ever worked with. I've only worked with 2 teams. But they are nice. And we are part of World Blue, like Alexander and Arlette's and Patricia's organization. We are one of the most democratic companies in the world, and every year, this is one of our top business goals, is to improve our scores in the survey that we all individually fill out. But we're really proud of that, and we're one of the few in the UK. And then I've just recently written a book, which is about 3% about NixonMcinnes and about 97% about these amazing companies around the world, because I personally believe that there is a tidal wave starting, a tidal wave of progressive business practices, progressive businesses, just like the stuff that Hannah was talking about before I came on. And so that's what Culture Shock is about 21st century business. And then in terms of our own results, we had a great year last year. I added the 0.3 and the 0.4 to make them look real. So we grew income at 20.3% last year. No, that really is 20.3%. And we made good profits, and we were able to triple the profit-related pay that everyone in the team received. And our happiness was average 82%. And there were on average 11 balls in the bucket. So on an average day, 9 happy, 2 unhappy, which is okay. Thank you very much. Tack. Cheers. Thank you. Cheers. Thank you. Thank you.